Welcome to Secura Law Experience. I'm Luis Elizalde, founder of Secura Law. I'm here with
Stephanie de la Millar
and Eduardo Borgard.
Great. Today, new episode, new vibes, new everything, a new topic. I think this topic is gonna, for experience that we just have, we are gonna talk about what is the step. If you are gonna sell your property, what is the step that you need to take for a smooth closing and no problems. I think the first step is contact us, and that's it. Thank you.
Basically, easy.
Pretty fast one.
That's it.
I think to add up to what you just said, I think this will change the rules for sellers going forward. Not applicable as of right now, but right now we would start to prepare for these kind of changes because in the future, for sure, it would be a different game, basically.
But it's good, right?
Yeah.
Because you
All
are
changes
planning.
are good.
You're planning before anything, so I think it's good.
I think that would be the best scenario that every seller plans in advance for their sale. However, how we used to do things would not punish that much the seller if they didn't. However, now with all these changes, the sellers would not go unscathed without that planning. So now that planning step is very important because of the changes with the appraisals, the future changes with the residencies, the tax bases that they would have if they are one or another. So a lot of changes. So that's what we're going to talk about now.
I think it would be a really good idea if they contact right us. They contact right now us.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we can explain to them everything, and it's not necessary that they are planning to sell right now, but it's an option to be sure right now what is going to happen. What happened if I have my title good, my property tax, I have everything in order, or maybe you are not that really good administrator of your things, but if you contact us, and we have all that kind of document for you. In the future, maybe in 2 years, you call us, hey, I want to sell right now. Perfect. We will have everything. We don't need to request anything else. And could be a really good idea. Just an example.
Yeah.
You know, and something that I'm just thinking right now, I'm speaking out loud, that could be good if we contact them.
I mean,
or they to us.
What I see that is the main change right now is that a couple of weeks ago, because this is fairly new, the way to work was the seller was thinking of selling. They were working already with a realtor, and they approached us without any offer yet. And they said, could you do like a run for the numbers so I can see like a budget of what would it cost to me? And we would say, sure, give me this, give me that, all the documents that we needed. And we prepare a seller's closing cost with the amounts that they would have to pay for their fideicomiso, if they have one, for the pre-closing documents, our legal services, and the possible taxes that they would pay for the sale. As of right now, that can be done, but not that easily.
Not that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that will be the first step. It won't change. However, it will be a little bit more costly because now we would have to pay for the appraisal in advance. And that appraisal is good for only 6 months. So if in those 6 months you find a buyer, we could use that. But after that, you would have to pay a new appraisal in order to be used.
Something that we have to find out is the appraisal 6 months. But the cadastral certificate
also 6
by law, but for the ISABI it's only 3 months. So how that's gonna work?
I don't think that the cadastral certificate would make a difference in the appraisal. I mean, if you have an appraisal,
you need it for the appraisal.
Yeah. But if you have one for 6 months and in between you sell the property, but you pass the 3-month mark for the cadastral certificate, that appraisal is still good. You only have to renew the cadastral certificate. You won't have to get a new appraisal from that point onward.
But is
I
the
think the
cadastral
same.
change? For example, if with
Yes, only on the
that.
perspective that the unit hasn't had any changes.
But I think that is
It's
That
normally
is-
that can happen at the end of the year.
that could be a flip of a coin, because you know that the authority has the faculty to do an inspection whenever they want.
Exactly.
And if that happens to you, well, I think in that case we would have to get a new appraisal from that point onward.
That's the thing.
But that's fairly.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's
What
unlikely.
would be the word? That would be RNG, which is like random.
Yes.
Could happen to you, could not. So that's a thing that we would know at that specific moment.
But
Mhm.
definitely it will be better to have an appraisal
Mm-hmm.
before
course.
you
Always.
put, even if before you put the unit out in the market.
So you know how much you could sell it for, and how much profit you would make, and how much taxes you would pay.
Exactly. Even
Yeah.
though you have to renew the appraisal and the cadastral certificate.
Mm-hmm.
You already have an idea. So
Yeah, and the only way for us to give you like an estimate, a very close one, would be with the appraisal. Now we cannot do the numbers without that.
and also, as you know, we always our policy is always give the amount and never change it. But in this case, with these changes in the law, I think we cannot establish exactly
Yeah,
how much it's gonna be, because we always try to keep the same amount that
Yeah.
we said at the beginning, because that's our word. But
But that's a promise we cannot keep now.
exactly,
Because it doesn't depend on us.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's not in
Our
our
fee is
hands.
gonna be the same. That's not
Exactly.
gonna change. The thing that we can control is not gonna change. But for example, that kind of the appraisal and capital gain taxes is more on the side of the government, that we can help a little bit, but not that much, you know.
Mhm.
And it's something that, as you said, we cannot control. So-
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we can provide a quote so you can have an idea. And obviously, if you come in the next 3 months, the reality will be different. Maybe slightly different, but we don't know. So it's just to give you an idea of what to expect regarding the purchase price to establish and the amounts that you will be able to also deduct. It's really important that you are advised by a real estate agent that it's able to provide a factura, because that is a thing that it's deductible and we know it. So it will help you. Maybe it won't make a big difference, but any
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Any $1 saving is $1. You know, is the factor is very necessary
Yes.
from the realtor. If they're gonna say no, give me cash, come on. we are
Yes.
not on the 80s. You know.
Exactly. Or if you as a seller, you are thinking more like, I have some cash and the real estate commission is not so high, I will say that you definitely need to make numbers to make sure how the factura and paying the commission by a wire transfer will help you in your taxes before you take that decision.
Totally agree. So that's important. But let's say if we want to establish steps, what or which one is going to be the first step?
Right now, I will say that come with us and provide the title, last property tax of this year. You have to be up to date in your property tax, and the pictures of the unit and the water bill, the CFDI, the invoice of your unit if you acquired before.
After
Yes,
20
after
2014.
2014, May 2014.
Yes.
Pictures
Pictures of the
she already
unit
said.
and
Yeah.
Google Maps
location.
Hmm.
That will be the first.
I would name it budgeting of the sale.
Okay. Yeah. The idea of the new purchase price. Okay, that will be as the first step of step 1. Step 2. Look for the appraisal.
No.
Get the cadastral certificate or cédula catastral, and then the appraisal will be good right now?
Yeah, and for that they will have to pay the appraisal in advance, not us.
Yes and no. Here in Secura Law, we have an agreement that our clients they're not gonna pay for the appraisal, so it's something that is a benefit that we have.
I think you should repeat that.
Yeah,
Just to make it as like
That
a
is a-
commitment.
a
Yeah,
Secura
yeah.
Law
Secura law
perk.
commitment.
Yeah, exactly. Our client from Secura Law, they're not gonna pay for the appraisal to know exactly how much they're gonna pay. If there after the appraisal there is a cost, for example, cédula catastral or the cadastral certificate, of course that has a cost, but it's around 500 pesos. If you want it to be slow, to 2,500 pesos. If you want it in 3 days. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Definitely. Then once we have all that information, we could actually get you a calculation of the possible taxes for that amount. Because also one thing that changed is that usually, well, very often, sellers used to under-record the selling price for their capital gains. And now with these new appraisals, that limit under is no longer feasible, because now they have to respect that amount as a minimum for the sale, right? That's why you cannot say to your realtor now, hey, how much is my property worth? Now it's not their responsibility to do that. They have to do it with an appraisalist, with all this process that the state now is providing. Because back in the day, there used to be a very big fluctuation into properties in the same area, because all the realtors were saying different things without a basis. And now with this appraisalist, they are setting like the ground for everybody.
Yeah,
So it's no different.
totally agree.
And I think that is going to be beneficial for everyone, because now they know for sure that the whole neighborhood is getting a good, how would you say it? The full neighborhood is getting an appraisal that is benefiting the price for everyone.
Yeah, and also it's not like, okay, I have a property of 200,000, I want to sell it in 100, it's possible, of course. At the end, you are the owner, you can decide how much it's gonna sell the property, but there is gonna be difficulties. More taxes. But okay, the first step, get documents. Second step, get the appraisal. Third step, as soon as you have an offer, that will be the offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an important point to talk about. The offers right now they are with the new kind of realtors or brokers, or they are not doing like the correct thing. I don't want to
Real
say
estate war.
Yeah, exactly. But they are like, I want to sell. I have a buyer. They are not that professional, and I think you have to consider really good points in your offer. We used to say, hey, no worries, come when you have an offer signed. But right now, with everything that we saw and what's happening, I think to have a good offer, you have to follow, or you have to be sure that these points are there. You want to say it? What kind of?
I think the first one would be the time period for that offer to be valid.
Good.
That is very important, because if not, you're entering yourself into an agreement.
Infinite offer.
Indefinitely.
Yes. 10 years.
Mhm.
10 years. By law, it's 10 years.
Yeah, and if that buyer doesn't want to move forward and they're stuck there and they don't want to move things, then you're stuck with that buyer. And if somebody else wants to come and purchase and show the interest, you will not be able to enter into a new contract with that one until you finish the other one.
So the normal is a term of 15 working days in which establish that during or within that 15 working days, you have to sign a contract, a promissory contract in which you establish penalties, purchase price, day of the closing, but that's the promissory contract. But in the offer, the most important, as Eduardo said, is the term of that offer.
And if in that time you don't end up with a contract, it automatically extinguishes that
Obligations.
Expires.
towards
yes.
that buyer.
What else? Term?
Yes, to be very clear about that, that is the offer and it will be connected to a promissory contract, because another thing that I have seen is that the realtors try to skip the contract, to the promissory contract. They say, okay, let's go to the offer directly to the notary to sign the deed. And in the middle, many things could happen and the offer doesn't meet all the requirements that a promissory contract does, for example, the penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be like a very undefined terms about what will happen if any of the parties decide to not move forward.
And that is the perfect recipe for a bad litigation for both parties, because they will have to spend a lot of money into proving what they want to, because the offer and the basis document is so vague that it cannot be defined, and that is a recipe for chaos.
And that's sad, because it's as I always say, it's a culture thing because if you go with the old school attorney, they're gonna say no, the promissory contract is not necessary because you are gonna sign a contract in the notary public. Yeah, of course. When you are dealing with between Mexicans, a simple
And even though,
yeah, exactly, and direct purchase and sell agreement with the notary could take around 1 week. 2 weeks, but now we're talking with foreigners, our experiences with foreigners and trust fideicomisos, and we are talking about 45 days, 2 months, maybe for the closing. In 2 months, everything could happen, So that's the reason we have to establish a really good promissory contract, and the offer has to be very, very clear in order to have a promissory contract, not in order to have a closing. So the offer has to, the term, the oh my god, the price and the way how they want the price, because now I'm seeing offers that says $1 million, and in pesos, I don't know, instead of 20 million pesos, they are saying 15 million pesos, like taking a 15 pesos. What do you mean? No worries, it's gonna be $1 million. But in pesos, we're going to establish this. No, that doesn't work like that. It's dollar or pesos. That's it. The easiest way is always pesos, because at the end, we're in Mexico and we have to establish pesos. But also, if all the transaction and all the money of the wire transfer is going to be in United States, Canada, and you're going to use dollars, we have to establish the exchange rate of 1 day before of the closing. And it's not a decision,
and
a private
official
decision.
One.
Exactly, the official one. So you have to establish in the offer, it's going to be dollars or pesos, and it has to make sense. It's better you go directly, or dollars or pesos, and that's it. Term, name, unit.
I mean, the
What
exit
else?
mechanism could be something that is worth putting
Exit?
in. Yeah. In case you want to exit that offer because you don't want to move forward with that buyer or that seller, there has to be an exit mechanism as a notification by one party, both parties, adding up to the actual term. Because
Adding.
yeah,
Okay.
if you think very basically, the term would be the exit mechanism. That means you just have to wait the 15 days and then you're out. But what happens if somebody else comes and they're in a very fast-paced kind of buyers? Then you have to have an exit mechanism to meet that other buyer. So a simple notification would save you, like, I don't want to move forward no more. And also establish that until you sign a promissory contract, if the other party has expenses, you're not liable for those.
I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
About the exit, I'm not sure, because you already have the term. It could be good. It could be good. No, I'm not saying that it's a bad idea.
In some cases, you could wait it out.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've seen closings
what
where
you're
they
saying
find a
that
buyer that's
you
very
don't have
fast.
to wait, for example, the 15 days
Exactly.
to be okay, 15 days, or I have the option to give you an official notification that I decided to not move forward.
Yeah.
And that
think
means no penalties because it's an
Communication is key. as we say.
I will say that between communication, that will be an option. That hey, if I notice you right now, but I don't think could be because it could be establishing the offer because you are putting or you are established that in the offer the 15 days, and you have to honor that. You know, if you have another buyer, okay, but you already said yes to the other buyer. You know, and wait. I don't know. You can say to the buyer, "Hey, I just receive a new offer, so I'm gonna wait until this gonna finish to get the other offer." And maybe you can get a new. But as you said, communication I think is the best. And if you honor something that you already signed,
Yeah.
I think could be good. Of course, every situation is
It's
different. Everybody says, all the real estate transactions are the same. No,
Yeah,
not
no.
possible. Every person is different. How do you say that? Every brain is a word.
It's a world, yeah.
So communication is
Exactly.
is the base, is the foundation for everything, for all real estate
I think
transaction.
we're missing a very important one.
Say it.
The deposit being refundable.
Good one.
Super good one.
I just happened with that with another client that he was looking as soon as he received the deposit and not refundable, and I explained to him no, not
Yeah.
possible. Something in the offer, and it could be not refundable in the promissory contract. But listen, it's not like it's not refundable when you sign the contract. It means that there is gonna be a penalty.
Yeah.
It's not exactly no, I'm gonna keep it. That's it. Whatever happened, I'm gonna keep that money. No. It's not has to be as a
Fair.
penalty. Fair. That's it.
Yeah, I've seen people from the States, mainly from California, that they want it that way. I don't know if the real estate is, I mean, it's different in every state, in every country. So we handle things differently from people in Baja California or in Mexico
Totally.
City, as well with the United States, right? People from the East Coast do it differently than in
To
the
the
West,
West Coast,
right?
yeah.
But I've seen that very often in the West side.
Because of the market. Because they know if they keep the property, could be 15 days.
It would change the price.
Totally, and it's something that is very normal in the United States that you have an offer and suddenly one arrive and give you more money and you say, okay, I'm gonna for that, and the money that you receive or they don't want to buy anymore. That because the market is crazy,
Yeah.
so and change a lot. A property that start a value of 400, they can finish selling in 800.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's the part that is our job to let these people know that want to sell here that
it's different.
The way that we handle things here is different, because I've seen that people very stubborn and no, I want it this way, and it's very hard for them to find buyers
And
because
it's
of
not,
that.
and it's not about law. In that case, it's not about law. It's the real estate market, how it's moving here in Quintana Roo, not in US or Canada or California or Toronto or
Yeah,
or
they have to
Timbuktu.
adapt to the specific market.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So embrace the customs of
Of the place.
of the place where you are selling your unit in order to sell fast.
So just again, documents, appraisal, offer. We already talked about the offer. I think we can, not the list. We can establish that list here. And in the offer, we have to see term, deposit, purchase price, unit.
Uh-huh.
What
Names
else?
of the parties,
Names of the parties.
and that it
Payment
will
schedule.
be an
I think that's more-
installment,
Mhm.
a very basic installment plan, and I forgot the other one. That it will
Closing
be
date?
connected. Could be. I will say that it will be kind of venture to establish a closing date, because we still need to make a due diligence in order to know what to do. But it could be a potential closing date, but also a connection that this offer will be connected to a promissory contract and then closing.
So they can, just thinking out loud, they can establish like a closing date of 90 days, and in the promissory contract could change a little lower instead of they say, no worries, it's gonna be 7 days.
I think that's
You know?
I think that's counter beneficial to setting a closing date.